Li Yunxiao, becoming the second coming of the ninth-tier refiner Gu Feiyang, wreaks havoc on the royal banquet, outing Li Yi as a traitorous scumbag. During a celebration, Luo Yunshang rejects the first prince and declares Gu Feiyang to be the only man in her heart. Later, Yun Xiao meets his grandpa and backs the second prince in the battle for the throne. Now, the reincarnated soul stands against a returning Li Yi to teach him a lesson he will never forget. As Yun Xiao unseals two third-tier Suan weapons with different Qi elements at the same time, Li Yi desperately charges at him to end the battle. However, the reincarnated soul makes the great martial master look into his eyes and unleashes Universal Soul Suppressor, Demon Moon. Feeling his soul getting crushed, Li Yi kneels. Yun Xiao then leaps at him. Swinging his blades, he cuts off Li Yi's left arm. Guan Yuan Jia and Yu Yuan won. The martial lords from the 100 Battles country realize that the battle is lost. So, they back off from Jimeng and rush towards Li Yi, picking him up to retreat from the battlefield. Jimeng tries to chase behind them, but Yun Xiao tells him to let them be and check up on Commander Bai. Of course, the self-reprimanding boy also acknowledges that using Universal Soul Suppressor earlier was a misstep and vows to be more careful. Nah, Blue fell off. Checking up on their comrades, Yun Xiao's group arrives at a horrific sight. Surrounded by the corpses of Jimeng's subordinates, an injured Commander Bai reveals that they got ambushed by Gao Feng and his men. This leaves Jimeng in agony, who blames himself for failing his juniors. Yun Xiao comforts the martial lord, declaring that he should be happy for the martyrs who died as worthy state guardians. A sudden gust of wind blows as the survivors pay their respects to the fallen. Sometime later at the meeting hall of Qin Yuwei's mansion, Li Chunyang gets informed of Li Yi's reappearance. The second prince then brings up Great General Fei Long's current predicament against the 100 Battles country's forces. However, even after coming to know that his father has been trapped by the enemy, Yun Xiao stays composed, surprising his grandfather. Getting asked his thoughts on the matter, Li Chunyang concludes that the general's earlier request for help was fake. Yun Xiao backs this sentiment at first, as Qin Yang will be able to do whatever he wants once the Li family's military power is out of the capital. In the same vein, Yun Xiao questions the possibility of the backup request being real. They guessing like they playing cake or no cake out here. Li Chunyang announces that if the 300,000 soldiers of the coveted Fei Long army can't protect Shining Gold City from an army of a mere 800,000 attackers, then Yun Xiao's father deserves to suffer for his incompetence. Regardless, Chunyang can't leave the capital because of Chen Da-sheng's situation. Declaring his grandfather's thought process to be a little simplistic, Yun Xiao notes that the Fei Long army's situation might not be as good as he thinks. The boy theorizes that the 100 Battles country fully intends to use the throne battle as a cover for invading Tian Shui. As such, they mustn't ignore the request for backup, even if it's a trap. Chunyang and Qin Yuwei lose their minds at the thought, unable to comprehend Qin Yang's selfish greed. If it means protecting the common people, the second prince even becomes willing to stop competing for the throne against his elder brother. However, his trusty advisor Shu begs him not to do such a thing, as this would cause the billions in Tian Shui to suffer under Qin Yang's tyrannical rule. Convinced by Shu, Qin Yuwei vows to keep competing for the throne even if it cost him his life, bringing the former to tears. Seeing this back and forth, Jia Rong is overcome with a sense of familiarity. Bro seeing another professional glazer for the first time. As Li Chunyang offers to send 300,000 soldiers to Shining Gold City, Bai Mo asks Yun Xiao if he has any ideas. Announcing that he does have a plan, the boy refuses to say it at the moment because of the many ears in the room. This offends Qin Yuwei's ministers, leaving them feeling humiliated by Yun Xiao's lack of trust. The latter then issues an ultimatum. If those present can swear off in their life that not a single word Yun Xiao says today will spread, then they can stay here. The ministers feel threatened by the reincarnated soul's chilling gaze, prompting the second prince to send them off for their sake. With only Jia Rong, Jimeng, Bai Mo, Qin Yuwei, and Li Chunyang left in the room with him, Yun Xiao announces that they should defend both sides at the same time. His grandfather and the second prince note the implausibility of the idea, as only the central army under Qin Fang could support Shining Gold City, as the first prince wouldn't send his soldiers to the rescue. Chunyang would be forced to recruit his troops and go himself anyway. Right then, Yun Xiao declares that they should just send him to save the Fei Long army. However, Chunyang and Bai strongly reject the idea. They are not aware of my goat's game. It is then that Yun Shiyao brings up the three people that are crucial to his plan. First, the one who will lead the army. Having found a way to cure the benumbing qi infecting this person's body, Yun Shiyao reveals him to be none other than the presumed dead loyal duke, Chen Da-sheng. Shocked by this news, Qin Yue finds out that Da Sheng's death was masterminded by the emperor to get rid of the people around Chunyang, and the loyal duke has actually been recuperating in the Li family's secret chamber this whole time. Lamenting his father's wrongdoings, the second prince vows to make things right when he ascends to the throne. Yun Shiyao then reveals the second person in their expedition, someone who has also been suffering from Yi Xiao Shan's benumbing qi, just like Da Sheng. With their forces strengthened by Chen Da-sheng and Commander Xiao Qing Wang's participation, Bai Mo questions the identity of their mysterious third recruitment, announcing that he wants to help Qin Yue form an army possessing the ability to overcome great numbers. Yun Shiyao reveals that he is talking about the prince's teacher, the martial king, Zhang Lishan. Qin Yue declares his teacher's involvement in political affairs to be an impossible idea, prompting Yun Shiyao to remind him of the tragedy that took place in Tianshui 60 years ago, back when Qin Zheng was just a prince. A revolutionary army sprouted from the south, leaving the country with no protection. As they reached the capital, the Jia Lan Academy's dean organized an army of capable students to fight back. This resulted in the revolutionary army's sound defeat, and that group of students was granted the name of State Guardians by the former king. Yun Shiyao presents the idea of changing the Jia Lan Academy's training mission into supporting Shining Gold City and increasing the rewards, consequently granting the future of the country with real battle experience. Not only that, but this will also render them the help of the Academy's teacher, including the very valuable Luo Yunshan, who will help them cure Xiao Qing Wang and Chen Da-sheng. Yun Shiyao declares that Qin Yue no longer has any chance of losing, as all three of Tianshui's martial kings are supporting him. Confused, the second prince questions the identity of the third martial king, prompting Li Chunyang to showcase his prowess. Witnessing this, Qin Yue offers Yun Shiyao the prestige of becoming brothers with him. Chunyang feels relieved as his grandson becoming brothers with the future king will ascertain that the Li family has an extraordinarily high prestige in the future. However, Yun Shiyao lightly rejects Qin Yue's offer, impressing Jimeng and Jia Rong. Chunyang also smirks, noting that a small country like Tianshui doesn't appeal to his grandson, who has goals far beyond mere prestige. Upon Commander Bai's insistence, Qin Yue decides to postpone the matter of his brotherhood with Yun Shiyao until after his ascension to the throne. This time, the reincarnated soul blatantly rejects the prince's offer, telling him to never bring up the topic again while Chunyang tries to play damage control for his grandson. The latter gives the group a melodramatic gaze. Life is glory and shame. It all turns to dust. Life is like a fog, but martial arts are eternal, mutters Yun Shiyao. Dude thinks he a poet. Hearing these wise words, Qin Yue feels his fight for the throne becoming insignificant. At the same time, qi starts welling up inside Jimeng, ascending him to the level of a martial lord. Bai questions how this is possible, while Chunyang declares that Jimeng is extremely lucky. Of course, being aware of the real reason for his ascension, Jimeng kneels before Yun Shiyao, thanking him for his tutelage. The reincarnated soul announces that he will have Jia Rong refine some pills to help Jimeng break through to Martial King, as he is barely strong enough to be his follower right now. This level of cockiness finally annoys Qin Yue, Bai Mo, and Chunyang. Of course, Jia Rong continues to glaze in the background. Qin Yue heads off to Jia Lan Academy to meet Zhang Lishan. Jimeng goes to invite Commander Xiao Qing Wang, and Jia Rong starts searching for Luo Yunshan. Meanwhile, Chunyang and Yun Shiyao return to their residence and begin making preparations. Elsewhere, in the secret meeting room of Qin Yang's mansion, the first prince rages at Li Yi's massive screw-up. Uninterested in hearing any and all explanations, the former asks the latter what they should do now. Li Yi assures Qin Yang that their failure this time doesn't change anything when it comes to the big picture, telling him not to worry about the martial kings either, as his master will send experts to deal with them soon. After sending Li Yi off to tend to his injuries, Qin Yang discusses the situation with Gao Feng, concluding that the 100 battles country isn't dependable at all. Wanting to rely only on himself, he comes up with the plan to use the public's support of the well-known and prestigious scholar, Jia Run Yi, to turn the world on the Li family. As our tribal chief once said, "You are a sniveling. Little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash. Son. With this, even if all 6 voters in the throne wars were to support Qin Yue, the throne would fall into Qin Yang's lap. Yun Shiyao and Chun Yang arrive at the Li family's residence only to find out that Jia Runyi's 3 disciples, Chao Jin, Shun Tu Rong, and Xu An Yuan Zi Xian, have brought 100 scholars to protest the old man's recent crimes. Hearing Jia Runyi's name, Chun Yang decides to take his leave until the scholars leave on their own. Yun Shiyao gets confused, questioning why his grandfather is scared of a few mere scholars despite killing high-ranking court officials not long ago. Chun Yang reveals that Jia Runyi is the descendant of a saint, the idol of scholars, as it represents the ethics of literature. His name holds great prestige, and killing him will damage the Li family's reputation beyond repair. Of course, Yun Shiyao doesn't give a singular crap about what mere ants think of him. If someone dares to block his way, he will simply clean them up. As the boy approaches the protesters, the 3 virtuous scholars, Jia Runyi's disciples, start chanting that the Li family's crimes cannot be forgiven. By doing so, they create their master's liking out of qi and thin air. Intrigue. Yun Shiyao forces one of the 3 disciples to eat his booger, making him puke all over the place. He then turns to the Grand Qi of Justice, refusing to let such a great supplement go to waste. Walking through the air, Yun Shiyao unleashes his creation link. Initiating absorption on the Grand Qi of Justice, he starts leveling up like crazy. As only martial grandmasters from legends could float in the air, the 3 virtuous scholars conclude that Yun Shiyao knows the demonic arts. So, they command their forces to start strengthening their supreme qi to vanquish the demonic being. At first, Yun Shiyao doesn't even make a single breakthrough despite absorbing a huge chunk of the Grand Qi of Justice. Suddenly, the qi becomes denser due to the 3 virtuous scholars' misstep. Feeling love for the idiots who have given him this blessing, Yun Shiyao starts putting on a show to make them think that he is hurt. Nah, blood deserves an Oscar for this. Instantly, the boy breaks through to the 7-star martial level and begins to act even harder. The scholars pour in all the qi they can muster up, but soon start falling like flies. Towering over the tumbling protesters, Yun Shiyao unleashes the aura of a mid-level 7-star martial warrior. Realizing that he was using their Grand Qi of Justice to make a breakthrough in his cultivation, one of the 3 virtuous scholars rages at Yun Shiyao. Chun Yang chimes in, sarcastically telling the scholar to give his thanks to Jia Runyi for this gift. Enraged, the scholar declares that the entire Li family should drop dead. Hearing this, Yun Shiyao crushes the protesters with his gaze. Usually, offending the Li family would have given them the death sentence. However, as thanks for helping him ascend, Yun Shiyao is willing to give the scholars the choice to save their lives. Convinced that they are untouchable, one of the idiotic disciples of the saint dares the boy to kill them all. Of course, Yun Shiyao gladly complies with the request, erasing his head from existence with a single strike. Ouch! That got hurt. Witnessing their fellow's gruesome death, the scholars beg young Master Yun for mercy. Being the kind soul that he is, Yun Shiyao gives them a chance to survive. He is willing to let them go, as long as they walk 3 rounds around the capital while reciting that Jia Runyi is a fake and a stupid idiot. Of course, the boy is thorough with his torture and sends Li Xian to keep an eye on them, executing anyone who refuses to comply. Wrought to tears, the scholars reluctantly start the chant, only to get scolded for their unhappy shouting. Yun Shiyao wants them to diss Jia Runyi happily and enthusiastically, a command that they are forced to follow yet again. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? As the scholars begin marching through the capital led by Li Xian, even Li Chunyang is left baffled by his grandson's audacity. Later at the Li family's secret chamber, Yun Shiyao notes that Chen Daosheng's condition is worse than he thought. Of course, the boy won't let him die even if he wants to. Just moments after Yun Shiyao feeds Daosheng the mystic fire pill, he not only wakes up but also manages to stand up after 5 whole years. While the 2 pronounced brothers shed tears of joy in each other's embrace, Yun Shiyao informs Daosheng that he will be commanding an army heading east in a few days. The loyal duke starts laughing, thinking it to be a joke. However, Chunyang confirms his grandson's words, prompting Daosheng to tremble with excitement and vowing to follow any orders they have. Suddenly, Chunyang gives Yun Shiyao a ghastly smile. Having witnessed his prowess as a second-tier alchemist, he demands that his greedy grandson give him the good stuff. After all, Yun Shiyao not only cleared out hundreds of years' worth of savings from the Li family's treasury, but also took the treasury itself. In the end, Chunyang extorts 2 sacks of exceptional pills out of Yun Shiyao, screwing over the main character even with all his plot armor. Protagonist 0. His Asian elder 1. Yun Shiyao, Chunyang, and Da Sheng meet with Xiao Qing Wang and Luo Yunshang, informing them of the current situation, signaling Jia Rong to bring him the mystic fire pills. The reincarnated soul hopes that Qing Wang can help the Li family with a few things in exchange for his health. The commander agrees to the proposition, promising to fulfill 3 of his requests in return. Seeing that Yun Xiao managed to refine second-tier pills, Yunshang shakes her head at getting deceived by his shenanigans before. The boy smiles, thanking teacher Luo for all that she has done for him. He promises that once Yunshang helps him nurse Da Sheng and Qing Wang back to health, the Li family will repay her however she likes. However, Yunshang doesn't want any reimbursement and only wants to hear Yun Xiao play her the Guanling Odyssey if the inspiration ever arises. Oh, she crushing on bro, promising to fulfill her requests sometime soon. The boy goes off into seclusion, leaving Jia Rong to take care of the nursing stuff. Later, in the Li Mansion's training room, Yun Xiao laments that he still hasn't become a martial master even after following the most ideal cultivation path. Heading inside his consciousness maintained by the Divine Realm tablet, Yun Xiao realizes that he can train his body and soul at the same time. Blood turned on creative mode. And so, a rigorous training regimen begins, training his soul power inside the consciousness while putting his body through hell in reality. Yun Xiao uses the link between the two to manifest to the real world and begins absorbing their energy. However, in his rush to return to the peak 9 heavens realm, the boy ends up getting too greedy, making him feel like he's going to combust. Refusing to accept that his physical body is going to collapse from only this much, Yun Xiao forcefully returns his consciousness. Unifying the mind, soul, and body, the boy finally succeeds, advancing to the level of an 8-star martial warrior. As Yun Xiao almost dies in the process, he vows to never toy with his life like that again, knowing all too well that he will definitely do it again. It's like telling Gigi not to glaze Sukuna, an impossible task. Right then, Chunyang enters the training room, announcing that there's an emergency. However, his train of thought gets lost seeing Yun Xiao's ascension to an 8-star martial warrior in just 2 days since his last breakthrough. Planning to ascend to a martial master before coming out, the boy tries to send his grandfather off. It is then that Chunyang informs him that Jia Runyi has come down with a high fever after what happened with the 3 virtuous scholars. The furious scholar has also gathered all of the Imperial Academy's instructors to make the Li family pay. Once again, Yun Xiao tells Chunyang to just kill anyone who dares to stand in their way. After all, the ones who follow the path of martial arts should only believe in strength, not caring what mere scholars think of them. Yun Xiao proclaims that no one will dare to slander him when he can part the clouds and his laughter can reach the heavens, declaring that even the clouds would laugh at him if he feared a bunch of corrupt scholars today. Moved by his grandson's majestic words, Chunyang feels the path of martial arts opening up in front of him. Vowing to sweep all the rotten ants who dare to stand in his way today, Yun Xiao heads off. Chasing behind the reincarnated soul, Chunyang senses a cloud of thick evil energy from him, almost as if he's stained with the karma of killing billions of souls. The old martial king trembles a little when in front of his grandson, who emits the aura of a grandmaster and realizes that his journey down the path of martial arts has just begun. Just like that, the duo arrives at the doorway to the Imperial Palace on their steeds. Ignoring all warnings to dismount, Yun Xiao blasts through the guards in one fell swoop. Chunyang questions why he didn't just teach them a lesson instead of killing them, prompting the boy to remark that he is there today to kill. Holy, gave a Chad. Blatantly announcing himself, Yun Xiao shouts out that he needs to inform His Majesty of emergency matters pertaining to the military. Surrounding a sickly Jia Runyi, the key figures in Tidon Shui look on at the scene, some in awe while others in disbelief. In order to stop Yun Xiao from entering the Imperial Palace, the commander of the palace guards makes his appearance, named Jing Fei Bai. He unleashes a flaming burst of energy that burns Yun Xiao's horse to a crisp. Of course, even the 8-star 4 quadrants realm martial lord with his status as the strongest expert among the guards stands no chance against the martial king accompanying Yun Xiao. Getting rid of the commander in a convincing fashion, Li Chunyang lands right in the center of the guard's circle. With veins popping out of his forehead, the Duke declares that anyone who tries to block their way will be killed without mercy. Seeing that his grandfather is waiting for him to make a move, Yun Shiyao announces himself as the son of the Feilong General Li Changfeng, who has urgent military intelligence to report to His Majesty. Hearing these words echo throughout the imperial palace, Qin Yang tries to rile up his father against the Li family. The furious emperor commands Qun Yang and Yun Shiyao to enter the imperial palace, and the two begin to move. However, they get stopped by a group of incompetent grand mentors from the Imperial Academy, calling for their execution, not even wanting the small amount of qi that the group can muster up with their chants. Yun Shiyao marches onwards. Just like the boy said earlier, he kills the 4 grand mentors standing directly in his way. He then passes on a few words of wisdom to the survivors, giving them an existential crisis. Dude single-handedly skyrocketing midlife crisis rates. Arriving inside the palace, Yun Shiyao and Qun Yang walk towards the throne. Wailing like a baby, Jia Runyi requests Qin Zheng to kill the 2 demons, prompting him to reprimand them for killing the palace guards and great mentors. As the emperor questions if Yun Shiyao has no respect for the law, the latter declares that he killed those people exactly because he respects it. Qin Yang calls BS, only for Yun Shiyao to summon the head of the ministry personnel, Ban Wenlin, to enlighten him on some matters of the law. Exploiting loophole after loophole in the kingdom's laws, Yun Shiyao not only proves that the palace guards and great mentors died in vain, but also manages to sentence Jia Runyi to death. The saint's descendant starts sucking up to the emperor, begging for justice. As the Li family is a family of generals, a fight of words with scholars has always been a losing battle for him. So Qun Yang looks on at the boy in confusion, unable to believe that he is his grandson. At the same time, for Jia Runyi's accomplishments, Qin Zheng pardons him of his crime by association with his nephew and declares that only the latter will be killed for offending Yun Shiyao. Hearing this, Jia Runyi starts glazing Qin Zheng like there's no tomorrow, leaving the onlookers disgusted. After all, the old geezer doesn't seem to give a singular crap about his nephew who just got sentenced to death. As the emperor thinks that he has resolved the problem with this decree, Yun Shiyao protests. Since not even a prince is above the law, the boy questions if Jia Runyi is more important than Qin Zheng's own sons. Once again, the old scholar starts wailing like a baby and calls Yun Shiyao out for making a mockery of His Majesty's imperial pardon. As Jia Runyi flails around while questioning if he doesn't put Qin Zheng in his sight, Yun Shiyao feels deja vu. I have been in this place before, higher on the Anyways, without an ounce of hesitation, the reincarnated soul declares that he obviously doesn't put His Majesty in his sight. This blasphemy leaves everyone in utter disbelief as Qun Yang prepares to give his 2 weeks' notice and retire. Enraged by Yun Shiyao's words, the emperor furiously gets up from his throne. Right then, he sees the boy giving him a warrior salute, Shinzu Sasageyo. With his signature exaggerated acting, Yun Shiyao declares that he doesn't have His Majesty in his sight, but in his heart. Ah yes, a play on words. Blood is on a generational run with all these exploits. The reincarnated soul then points at Jia Runyi, accusing him of thinking himself to be wiser than His Majesty. Only moments after his crime of defying the imperial edict, Jia Runyi gets accused of treason. The old man rages and ends up literally getting angered to death. With this, Yun Shiyao takes the high road, announcing that they should forgive the man who chose to die of shame for his crime. Despite understanding that the boy is too dangerous to allow him to get his way, the emperor decides against angering the Li family over a useless dead man. Pardoning Jia Runyi for all his crimes, Qin Zheng orders his subjects to give him a state funeral. Mourning their teacher's death, the great mentors ask Yun Shiyao and Qun Yang about the military intelligence they have that was urgent enough to justify killing even Imperials. The reincarnated soul steps forward, reiterating the military intelligence they got a few days ago about his father's army. Qin Yang loses it, announcing that Yun Shiyao deserves to die for this farce. However, the boy continues to mock him, teasing the first prince for deliberately letting the 100 Battles country invade Tian Shui. While Qin Yang worries about what to do in case his wrongdoings get exposed, Qin Zheng confidently declares the request for reinforcement to be fake. Yun Shiyao mentions that Tian Shui will lose all 13 of its cities if the military intelligence ends up being true, prompting Qin Yang to signal one of the great mentors. The latter jumps into the conversation, remarking that Yun Shiyao is exaggerating the situation because his father is the one who's stuck. Labeling the man a despicable traitor, Yun Shiyao puts a blade to his neck for neglecting Tian Shui's safety. In the same breath, he apologizes to the agitated emperor for being in a rush and not disarming. Once again, Qin Yang turns over to his father, begging him to sentence the boy for threatening a minister and making a mockery of the imperial court. Suddenly, Li Chunyang slams the first prince into the nearby wall. Oozing out frightening bloodlust, he calls over whoever dares to threaten his grandson's life. Even Yu Shiyao is left baffled by the sight, let alone the emperor, who told the old fart to go off script. While Qin Yang writhes in agony from the duke's sudden attack, the Grand Mentor facing Yu Shiyao's blade falls unconscious, as the emperor notes that Chun Yang has made many breakthroughs in the past years. The reincarnated soul questions Qin Zheng if he cares about the useless ministers more than Tian Shui. After all, even if the ruler changes, the senile men can latch onto the new leader. Qin Zheng's position, on the other hand, isn't going to stand. Convinced by the sharp-tongued boy and the old G's are exerting terrifying pressure, the emperor gives them the go-ahead to recruit the central army and advance to Shining Gold City. Later, accompanied by Qin Yue and Bai Mo, the Li family duo heads to Jia Lan Academy to see the student tryouts for the army. There, Mengbai is causing a ruckus due to not being allowed to sign up. As the poor guy gets called malnourished because of his green face, he threatens to bring out his master to convince the recruiter. The latter questions the identity of the former's master, as he isn't changing his mind unless it's the dean himself. Who's going to tell him? Lo and behold, the group comprising of a former 9th-tier refiner, the second prince, the duke, and the commander of the state guardians shows up to back Mengbai's. After Yun Shiyao's usual shenanigans with his disciple, Qin Yue announces that anyone who performs outstandingly today can become a trustworthy state guardian straightaway, regardless of status or origin. A horde of students rushes to sign up, with the lowest cultivation amongst them being that of a martial warrior. Yun Shiyao heads off to rest while the name list gets compiled, reprimanding his perverted grandfather for thirsting over Mengwu in the meantime. Later, Bai Mo announces the results, marking a total of 2,330 signees, including 27 martial masters. Principal Zhang Li Shan then addresses the students, giving a glorious speech that gets them all hyped. Noticing that Chun Yang has become a martial king, the dean laughs and invites Qin Yue to say a few words. The second prince makes 4 points in his address. In 3 of them, he promises great rewards for all those who participate in the war, raising the morale even further. The last one, however, leaves everyone dejected, as Qin Yue announces Li Yun Shiyao to be the commander who will lead them into battle. 2 students voice their dissatisfaction, declaring that they will only obey Yun Shiyao if he can beat them in battle. These are none other than the rankers in Jia Lan Academy's minor power chart, Bai Chengfeng and Lin Yu. Oh, you sweet summer children. Yun Shiyao sighs out and marches forward with confidence, inviting them to come at him, both at once. The battle takes to the Jia Lan Academy's arena, where Li Yun Shiyao faces off against 2 challengers with martial levels above his own. Placing his beloved Black Glass into the ground, the reincarnated soul assumes the exact pose as that of Gu Fei Yang's statue behind him. Lin Yu takes the first turn, unleashing a barrage of fast and strong spear strikes at Yun Shiyao. Moving like the wind, the boy effortlessly avoids the incoming onslaught, fast as F-boy. Complementing the 2-star martial masters of supposed Tiger and Dragon Spear, Yun Shiyao vows to subdue both beasts today. He then tells Mengbai to look closely, as he will teach him the concealed Tiger Fist right now. Much to the spectator's shock, Yun Shiyao parries the great weapon coming at him with nothing but his body. Pushed back, Lin Yu chants, unsealing his roaring spear of tigers and dragons. Unleashing Dragon Roar of the 9 Heavens, he sends forth a beastly chi toward Yun Shiyao. Despite this, the boy stands his ground, putting his defenses to the test. Training one's physical body with the tyrant body tampering technique splits its strength into 3 layers. A body like glass, the unyielding tyrant physique, and the immortal golden body. If the last one of the 3 is achieved, a person becomes a god who can collapse mountains and crack the earth with the wave of a hand or a step. I report for hacking at that point. As for now, Yun Xiao activates the body like glass defense style, coming out unscathed from Lin Yu's monstrous attack. Finally, he understands how the tyrant's immortal golden body was able to block his constellating killing sword in his past life. While Yun Xiao bursts out laughing, Luo Lan Duo blushes bitterly, seeing the man she once rejected for being weak leaving her in the dust. Telling Lin Yu that they should attack together, Cheng Feng charges forward and disperses his 9 gates Thunderbolt Pearls. The pearls spin around fiercely, unleashing his green demonic Middlestone technique. Lin Yu follows, putting all his might into striking Yun Shiyao down with the roaring spear of tigers and dragons. However, Yun Shiyao faces even this combination attack head-on. Dancing with the Lotus Sword song, he makes quick work of his foe's all-out effort. He then announces that it's his turn to attack, preparing to strike with Lotus Sword song's 10 steps, 1 kill. As the fierce sword slashes flies towards them, Lin Yu and Bai Chun Feng try to dodge it, only for Yun Shiyao to trap them in his Black Lass's 100-fold gravity field. The two martial masters make their best efforts to block the attack, but it isn't enough. Standing over the foes he utterly crushed just moments ago, Yun Shiyao invites anyone who still dares to be dissatisfied to challenge him. Of course, no one steps up to him. The next day, in the army assignment field, the Jia Lan Academy student recruits gather, along with the Central Army. However, in order to sabotage them without disobeying his father, Qin Yang sends only the most feeble and old men to partake in the war. Han Bai's father, Han Qianfang, assures Chun Yang that their current forces are enough for the march even after this. The latter then calls for Xiao Qingwang, who monstrously shouts out and orders the state guardians to gather there within 3 minutes. Blood thinks they are Sonic. Echoing throughout the capital, the commander's raging voice lets Gao Feng and Qin Yang that he has been fully cured and is even stronger than ever before. Theorizing that he wants to gather all the state guardians, the two head out to witness the scene for themselves. Meanwhile, in the depths of the palace, a mysterious drunken man feels relieved that Qing Wang is back, finally feeling at peace. Over at the Lan family's residence, the head scribe orders his son to prepare gifts for the upcoming birthday of concubine Xian, Xin Yue's mother. Literally mommy. The old man realizes that fate has charted its course, deciding that the Lan family will be beneath the Li family for years to come. Back at the army assignment field, Qin Yang smirks, seeing the old and weak men he sent for the army. At the same time, the commanders of the various state guardians units report themselves to Xiao Qingwang, followed by Unit 1's Gao Feng, Unit 2's Wang Su Huan, Unit 5's Xiao Chun, Unit 4's Luo Yunshan, and Unit 3's Bai Mo report for duty. The recruits look on in awe as the state guardians all gather for the first time in forever. Announcing that the guardians have a duty to protect their homeland, Xiao Qingwang instructs them to prepare themselves for death against the 100 Battles country. In the same vein, the commander laments that there are only 2,000 to 3,000 people there. Hearing this, Qin Yang smirks, thinking that Qingwang will uselessly force his few hundred state guardians to participate too. Instead, the commander declares that the 124 generals of the Central Army will receive the death penalty for disobeying His Majesty's orders. As he orders the army recruits to bring them there for legal punishment, Qin Yang protests, only to get told that he will be beheaded as well. Left baffled, the first prince boasts about his status, questioning how a mere official dares to speak of killing him. However, the commander questions why he wouldn't dare to kill Qin Yang. Li Chunyang claimed territory for the country and Xiao Qingwang protected it, without which Tian Shui would no longer exist. Compared to them, the Qin family is but a speck of dust. For an 8-star martial king like Qingwang, whom no one would dare defy, killing the first prince is just like killing a dog. It was at this moment that he knew. He effed up. Trembling in excitement at the commander's words, the army recruits move out to bring the 124 generals there. Knowing that Qingwang's words aren't just an empty threat, Gao Feng also heads out, albeit to have His Majesty save Qin Yang. Meanwhile, the first prince gets restrained for execution. Seeing his older brother in such a state, Qin Yue is left wondering if his ascension to the throne even means anything in front of someone like Qingwang. Soon, all 124 generals are brought to execution for the crimes of thinking Li Chunyang to be a pushover and overestimating their own importance. Xiao Qingwang orders the army to take off the generals' heads. Right as the swords are about to pierce their necks, Gao Feng begs the commander to spare them. Having brought an imperial decree, he reveals that Qin Zheng has given the generals a chance to atone for their crimes. For not prioritizing the country's safety, the first prince will instead become an example and receive 100 lashes. However, the commander declares that Qin Yang will receive 500 lashes and all the others will be killed. One of the generals calls out Qing Wang for defying the imperial decree, getting his head swiftly removed in the process. They gotta start taking IQ tests before letting them in. No. The first prince looks on in utter disbelief as heads go flying one by one, ordering for Qin Yang to be taken away and given 500 lashes. The commander instructs the army to tell all the vice generals to gather there within 3 minutes, killing whoever refuses to do so. Soon, All 124 vice-generals gather before Xiao Qingwang. Exchanging a nod of approval with Chun Yang, the commander goes to sit beside Yun Xiao, announcing the first task's completion. The reincarnated soul compliments Qingwang's viciousness, declaring that now no one else will dare defy them. Li Chunyan unveils the loyal Duke Chun Da-sheng to be the one leading their mission, presenting him the commander's seal. Chun Zun's dad, Chun Lin, starts bawling his eyes out upon seeing that his dead father is still alive. With tears flowing down his face, Da-sheng smacks his son away, announcing that a commander can't cry in front of everyone. He then calls for Han Bai's teary-eyed father, Han Qianfang. Put in charge of 100,000 men, the latter receives his seal as the pioneer of the left. Chun Zun follows with the same number of men, getting declared the pioneer of the right. Li Yu Xiao takes command of the 2,000 student soldiers, becoming the chief of logistics who will protect their supplies, much to his annoyance. Da Sheng riles up the troops, receiving heartfelt farewells from Qin Yuwei and Chun Yang. Why are you gay? Sometime later, the army marches through a mountain pass. Yu Xiao inquires about their next destination and how much time it will take to get there. Finding out that they will arrive at Sunshore City in 10 days, he gets annoyed. Da Sheng then asks him his opinion on their troops. Yu Xiao remarks that they are just meh, making the man think that he is a sheltered kid with no life experience. Da Sheng points out the killing intent emanating from his soldiers, indicating that they have experienced life and death battles. Of course, Yu Xiao still remains unimpressed. He swears a military oath that before they enter Sunshore City in 10 days, the 2,000 students under him will emit more killing intent than the 400,000 soldiers of the army. If Yun Xiao loses the wager, then his head is Da Sheng's to kick around like a ball. However, if he wins, Da Sheng has to give up the position of commander-in-chief to him and do odd jobs instead. Nah, blood is just too alpha. As there's no joking around in the military, Yu Xiao heads off to the students, leaving the supplies to Da Sheng for the time being. Arriving before the student soldiers, the boy tells them to put down the supplies and follow his vehicle at once. Seeing this, Qin Lin asked Da Sheng if he is really going to let Yun Xiao have his way, worrying that his father will have to take the kid's head to honor their military oath. The commander-in-chief smacks his son for thinking such a thing, revealing that he will only give Yun Xiao a good beating. Da Sheng then heads down to Yunshan, who has just finished treating Xiao Qingwang for the day. Teacher Lu reveals that Yun Xiao's treatment method strengthens her extreme yang qi, while she helps suppress the benumbing qi, proving even more effective than secluded training. Da Sheng tells her not to bring that up, as he will be giving Yu Xiao a beating to remember in 10 days. Though, Xiao Qing thinks that Da Sheng might not get that chance. Back over with Yun Xiao, his friends inform him that strengthening a person's killing intent is no easy task, even if given years. However, the boy only understands one thing from their explanation. He just has to make the students experience a battle of life and death. Yun Xiao orders Jia Lan Academy's student soldiers to advance at full speed, arriving at Sunshore City within 4 days. For the remaining 6 days, he vows to make them go through hell. 3 days later, outside Sunshore City, Jia Lan Academy students are laid out on the ground, devoid of any energy. Yu Xiao comes out of his vehicle at nighttime, smirking at the few resilient ones still standing, namely Bai Chengfeng and Lin Yu. Marveling at the beautiful moon, the boy tells his friends to come out and look at it. Seeing Chun Zun, Han Bai, Meng Wu, and Meng Bai marching out leisurely, the student soldiers lose it at the double standards. With their break time over, Chun Zun and Han Bai get to work, drawing up a formation that needs many expensive primordial stones and strong refiners to be activated. As the students wonder if this is a massive recovery formation to help them recover their primordial qi, Yun Xiao throws the 2 third-tier Shuan weapons in his possession in the center of the circle, using them as the formation cores, announcing that the formation will help everyone to become a true warrior in very little time. The boy heads back inside his vehicle. Right before entering, Yun Xiao turns back over to the student soldiers and declares the start of their enjoyable vacation. With a sinister gaze, the reincarnated soul activates his moon eye technique, seemingly putting everyone under hypnosis. Inside the vehicle, Chun Zun asks Yun Xiao what happened to all the soldier students, though this only ends up reminding the boy to kick his friends outside too. You talk, you lose type beat. Jimeng starts moving out, getting stopped by Yun Xiao. Turns out, as Jimeng is a martial lord and Jia Rong is only a second-tier refiner, the boy won't be able to control the former's mind with his weak ocular skills. Upon Jia Rong's inquiry, Yun Xiao reveals that the formation he made is called the Thousand Hallucinations Formation, inside which the student soldiers are bound to experience some unforgettable things. Not knowing how long he will last but vowing to do his best, Yun Xiao asks Ji Meng to protect him and Jia Rong while they maintain the formation. Elsewhere, a hopeful boy named Zhang Tao trains rigorously, wishing to get into Jia Lan Academy and become the state guardian after graduating so that he can help his family. Suddenly, a beast wolf comes out of the trees Zhang Tao has been punching all this time, prompting him to run for his life. Unable to run away, Zhang Tao turns back to face the beast wolf, vowing to fight till the very end. He unleashes his King Kong fist to strike down the monster. However, Zhang Tao's attack ends up phasing through the creature, and his left arm gets bitten off. Writhing in agony, the boy vows to kill the beast wolf. Once again, though, his fist phases through the monster. Sometime later, Zhang Tao makes his way back home, questioning why the beast wolf didn't just kill him. Left without his arms to practice martial arts, the boy wonders how he can improve his family's life now. Suddenly, screams ring out from inside his home. Rushing inside, Zhang Tao finds 3 despicable men towering over the corpses of his mom and dad. Seeing his sister suffer a fate arguably worse than death, the boy is overcome with unimaginable fury and bloodlust. Promising to kill them for their sins, Zhang Tao dashes towards the men, only to get kicked away with ease, as his arms are no longer a threat to them. The disgusting trio starts stomping away at him. Getting beaten to death, Zhang Tao takes one final look around his home. The sight of his dead father and mother, as well as his crying lifeless sister, enters his eyes. Who is cutting onions? Zhang Tao's heart erupts with a desire for revenge, enveloping him in killing intent and restoring his strength. With his arms back and 2 blades in his hands, the boy only has one thought now: kill. He starts slashing away at the despicable men who made his family suffer, all the while grinning like a crazed beast. Zhang Tao's killing intent goes wild, pushing him to kill everyone he lays eyes upon. Standing under the crimson moon, the boy consumed by bloodlust huffs and puffs. He looks up, seeing a swirling pattern reminiscent of Yun Xiao's moon eye technique in the sky. Moments later, Zhang Tao gets sucked up by the vortex and finds himself back outside Sunshore City, surrounded by his fellow student soldiers. One after the other, students start waking up. A collective cry echoes throughout the area, as those trapped within the 1,000 hallucinations finally return to reality. Witnessing the students sobbing intensely, Jia Rong feels glad that his young master Yun didn't make him go in with him to experience those interesting things. Suddenly, Yun Xiao tells the second-tier refiner to help him inside as he needs to rest. The boy also orders Jia Rong to let the students be. For now, he wants them to enjoy the privilege of being able to cry. The next day, an annoyed Jia Rong shouts at the exhausted rabbits to wake up, having burned purple wailing dragon incense for them the whole night so that they could have a comfortable sleep. Right then, Yun Xiao comes out of the vehicle and asks them if they had fun yesterday. Hearing this, the furious student soldiers start cursing out the boy and his ancestors. At the same time, Jia Rong marvels at his young master Yun's shocking recovery speed, who had completely exhausted his soul power just last night and has fully recovered it now. Bro on that Lightning McQueen timing. Marching towards the enraged students, Yun Xiao acknowledges their anger, not knowing what they saw in the illusory realm. However, he can tell them one thing with certainty. If the student soldiers remain weak, everything they saw in the illusory realm might come to pass in reality. Zhang Tao starts trembling at the idea, vowing to get stronger so he never lets that happen. Yun Xiao continues, remarking that even if what they saw in the illusory realm was fake, their own determination is real. In order for them to live well and protect the weakness in their hearts, the reincarnated soul urges the students to get stronger and keep walking down the path of martial arts. To that end, he will help them rapidly get stronger in the remaining 5 days by teaching them a killing intent technique. Though the nature of Ji Meng's sword technique is opposite to that of this technique, Yun Xiao still wants him to have a look. After all, every martial technique is interconnected, and everything eventually returns to the understanding of martial intent. Approaching the students, Yun Xiao reveals that the killing intent technique stimulates the potential of one's body with killing intent. First appearing on the battlefield, it was refined by martial artists later on, making it so a person's own level determines how much their killing intent can strengthen them. Now, this technique has 2 parts. The first is to condense killing intent, and the second is to stimulate one's potential. Jimong notes that a person can get more than 2 times stronger by training their killing intent enough. However, he wants to avoid thinking about himself for now, as the real and immeasurable value of this technique is in training soldiers. Hearing his young master Yoon talk about the technique being many times more effective if many people train it simultaneously, Jimong wonders if he is really a 15-year-old teenager. Declaring that the student soldiers will be twice as strong in 5 days, Yoon Xiao promises to reward the 30 of them who show the greatest improvement in their killing intent with 1 second-tier pill each. While Jia Rong is brought to tears at the thought of making pills again, Yoon Xiao mischievously turns over to Mumbai, wanting his poison to help him break through to the 9-star martial warrior. The disciple squirms only to get dragged away by his ruthless master. Better luck next time, lil bro. At the same time, Jia Rong gets down to refining the pills. 3 days later, Jimong is left in utter disbelief at the sight of the student soldiers' killing intent. Motivated by the illusions, they manage to condense a god-slaying finger with their killing intent, a feat that requires the deepest understanding of the technique. Though the god-slaying finger is below the lowest standards, Yoon Xiao thinks it's still pretty good, considering the students did it in just 3 days. Jimong questions how powerful the object would be if it was able to solidify, prompting the boy to reveal that no one has been able to get there. Yoon Xiao thinks that whoever is able to manifest the God-Slayer finger would become strong enough to kill even peak 9 Heavens martial sovereigns in just 1 strike. Ordering Jimong to make the students continue training for the next 2 days, the boy heads off for a walk in the city. Jia Rong, who has been refining for 3 days straight, begs his young master Yoon to take him too. Having been drained of his poison, Mumbai requests the same thing. Yoon Xiao annoyedly agrees to take them to the city, telling the disciple to bring his older sister as well. Getting told to stay there and protect the students, Jimong looks at the boy's back in admiration, marveling at his rapid breakthroughs. Being the hub through which many goods pass, Sunshore City is one of the busiest cities in Tianshui. Arriving at its entrance, Yoon Xiao and the others get stopped by the guards, who demand that they pay 200 bronze coins each as an entrance fee. Getting demanded a total of 800 bronze coins for the 4 of them to enter, Jia Rong protests. As the guard tells him to get lost, another guard comes there and whispers something to his fellow. With this, the guard lets Yoon Xiao's group pass without the entrance fee. Still annoyed, Jia Rong complains about the guard's illegal abuse of power to extort money. Yoon Xiao remarks that it's the corrupt leader's fault, as the guards will have to hand most of the money they gather to their superiors anyway. Even if they were to stop this corruption, things would quickly revert the moment they leave the city. So Yoon Xiao deems it better to correct course slowly after Qin Yue takes the throne. Later, the group arrives at Sunshore City's largest pharmacy. Yoon Xiao asks the shopkeeper for 10 sets of common herbs, getting told that there are only 8 sets of ancient orchid leaves left due to their high demand as a component in body-strengthening medicine. As the reincarnated soul prepares to take the herbs, a cocky boy named Wu Guang snatches them instead for his body-strengthening medicine. The shopkeeper apologizes to this young master, revealing that the leaves have already been sold to Yoon Xiao's group. Looking at them, Wu Guang smirks, telling Yoon Xiao to name his price for the ancient orchid leaves and Mengwu. The latter agrees to negotiate, warning the former that he won't be able to afford it. Getting offended, Wu Guang orders the shopkeeper to inform Yoon Xiao who he is. Turns out, the cocky guy is the son of Sunshore City's lord, and the man accompanying him is a high-class refining disciple named Zhang Tai. Yoon Xiao questions which great refiner he is a student of, prompting Zhang Tai to snark at him and reveal that he follows the Alchemist Association's Lord Jia Rong. Catching strays because of a disciple's wrongdoings yet again, the second-tier alchemist wonders if he is the clown there. Yes, you are. In tears, Jia Rong begs Yoon Xiao to believe that these are nothing but baseless rumors and scolds Zhang Tai for spreading them, painting himself as someone who knows him. The refining disciple then remarks that he isn't Jia Rong's direct disciple, but considers himself as somewhat of one due to being close friends with the alchemist's disciple named Shi Yuan. Zhang Tai then questions how a group of randoms like Yoon Xiao and the others could even know the great lord Jia Rong. All the while the cocky young master orders them to quickly speak their price. Declaring that it's pretty cheap, Yoon Xiao announces that Wu Guang and Zhang Tai just have to trade for the herbs with their heads. The reincarnated soul then orders his group to give both of them a good beating, a command that they gladly follow, ignoring the shopkeeper's pleas to not do such a thing. Jia Rong and the Hmong siblings stomp the ever-living crap out of the cocky duo. They only stop when Yun Xiao tells them to, though only at a point where any further would have killed Wu Guang and Zhang Tai. With his already ugly face ruined even more, the cocky son of the city lord vows to kill the attackers and sends a signal for reinforcements. And so, the idiot launches his counterattack, hoping to make Yun Xiao and the others regret messing with his power. Professional dumbass. The reinforcements team leader, Ban Bingbai, recognizes that all 4 kids standing before him are martial warriors. Recognizing Yun Xiao's status as a peak 8-star martial warrior, he doesn't want to risk capturing them. Right then, Wu Guang scolds Commander Ban for wasting time in chit-chat, ordering him to just beat the group to death. With drool dripping down his swollen lips, the disgusting pervert also demands that Meng Wu be sent to his room instead. Bing Bai tells Yun Xiao to either bring out his superior or face grave consequences, prompting Jia Rong to warn him of even graver consequences if he doesn't get out of their way. Hearing this, Commander Ban signals his army to prepare to strike. After confirming that the soldiers don't have any remorse about ganging up on a group of 4, Yun Xiao tells them to wait while he gets his superior. With this, the reincarnated soul lets rip cloud-piercing arrows, the highest-grade military signal. The ground rumbles as a huge commotion is caused nearby by the military invading Sunshore City. Seeing this, Bing Bai realizes that he finally ended up following Wu Guang's commands to his demise. Better to learn late than never. Surrounded by countless student soldiers emitting an intense killing intent, the city lord's cocky son trembles in his boots, begging Commander Ban for ideas on what to do now. Suddenly, Yun Xiao interrupts them and announces that it's time to have a proper battle. Questioning the boy's identity, Bing Bai wonders how he can mobilize the military to resolve his personal issues. Meng Bai starts laughing at the man's hypocrisy and gives him a pinky finger. As Wu Guang called for a few hundred soldiers to fight just 4 people before, Yun Xiao declares that his bringing only 2,000 people to fight the few hundred of them is nice in comparison. Telling Commander Ban to stop wasting his time, the reincarnated soul reiterates that it's time to begin. Right then, the city lord of Sunshore, Wu Lian Tian, arrives there. Seeing the group of kids, he wonders which one of them is in charge. However, his train of thought is interrupted by his pig-like son. Wu Guang starts complaining to his daddy, begging him to arrest Yun Xiao's group and give them a good beating. The guards worry for their lives, which now stand at the mercy of a stupid rich kid. Someone disown him. Thankfully, Wu Lian Tian beats up his idiotic son instead of listening to him. Apologizing for not educating Wu Guang properly, the city lord welcomes Yun Xiao. The reincarnated soul expresses his willingness to talk things out with him, wanting to talk somewhere more comfortable. Understanding the situation, Wu Lian Tian orders his guards to make way, respectfully inviting Yun Xiao to his residence. While the student soldiers surround the residence of the city lord, Yun Xiao and Jia Rong sit inside. For the reincarnated soul, fighting Wu Guang was also a way of getting to know him. Wu Lian Tian eats up these words, ordering his son to pour some tea for Yun Xiao. The city lord then asks the boy a few questions, getting told that he is just someone who wants to protect his home country. Hearing this, Wu Lian Tian starts glazing Yun Xiao, telling Wu Guang to learn something from him. Remarking that it is fate that has brought them together, the reincarnated soul requests the patriotic city lord for some help. Wu Lian Tian readily wants to do his part for the people protecting Tian Shui, prompting Yun Xiao to ask him for supplies for 2,000 troops. As the city lord informs him that they are short on supplies too, the boy instead asks for some money so they can purchase supplies from the neighboring cities. Having had no intention of helping Yun Xiao much from the beginning, Wu Lian Tian feigns regret yet again. Posing like a poor and humble city lord, he acts all righteous, promising to denote 10,000 gold coins from his already scarce savings. Wu Lian Tian thinks that this amount should be enough for kids like them, only to see Yun Xiao and Jia Rong laughing in his face. Understanding that just the cloud-piercing arrows the kids used earlier cost tens of thousands of gold coins, Ban Bingbai notes that the city lord has thought too lightly of them. Rookie mistake. Yun Xiao sarcastically thanks the city lord's generosity, remarking that they don't need so many gold coins for just 2,000 people. Instead, his men will just choose a few things. Murmuring something to a grinning Jia Rong, Yun Xiao sends him off somewhere. Wu Lian Tian worriedly questions what he means, getting told not to think anything of it, and just have some tea. Suddenly, Sounds of objects clattering echo out inside the residence. As Wu Lian Tian starts sweating, Commander Bon only makes things worse by revealing that Yun Xiao has a martial lord working under him. Now, the city lord wants to talk things out with the boy, calling him out for robbing the place. However, Yun Xiao warns him to think before he spouts such BS. Right then, the clattering noises get louder, making Wu Lian Tian swear up and down that there's nothing of value in his residence. He even offers to gather 100,000 gold coins for Yun Xiao, looking like he is aging by the second. The boy scolds Wu Lian Tian for calling him a robber, even though he's just trying to cover military expenses, no longer pretending to be courteous. Yun Xiao shouts for his friends to restrain the city lord and his son. Getting tied up, the two fatsos beg Bing Bai to help them. However, as Yun Xiao declares that anyone who defies his orders will be killed without mercy, Commander Bon freezes in his tracks. Moments later, the student soldiers bring out all the treasure hogged by Wu Lian Tian. By exploiting the citizens, a mere city lord has amassed even greater wealth than the Li family, amounting to at least 1 billion gold coins. Nah, bro is richy rich. Han Bai notes that Wu Lian Tian's entire family could be killed if they report this, prompting Yu Xiao to wonder what he is talking about. After all, the city lord is a completely honest and broke official, not having any riches whatsoever in his treasury. Understanding the implications of these words, Wu Lian Tian rages. He ends up revealing that the wealth belongs to the first prince, warning Yun Xiao of the grave consequences of touching any of it. Of course, the treasure belonging to Qin Yang just ends up giving him even more of a reason to steal it. Taking the stones and refining materials for himself, Yun Xiao lets the student soldiers split the rest of the treasure amongst themselves. Han Bai questions what they should do with the city lord and his son, wondering if they should just kill them since they are the first prince's men anyway. Wu Lian Tian begs for his life to be spared, and Yun Xiao spares him, thinking that taking the city lord's life after stealing all his wealth would be going too far. With a promise to return in a few years, Yun Xiao heads out. However, the ungrateful city lord instantly orders his men to write a letter to the first prince, vowing to kill the robbers. Whoever said that no good deed goes unpunished was spitting for real. Right then, one of the guards whispers something to him. Hearing this, Wu Lian Tian rejoices and sends a guard to report what happened there to General Kong instead. Elsewhere, Yun Xiao sets up camp for his student soldiers to continue practicing killing intent. Right then, wild winds blow from the nearby mountains, and the earth rumbles intensely. While Yun Xiao commands his troops to assume battle positions, Chun Zun laments that they let Wu Lian Tian live. At the same time, Han Bai notes that something is wrong, as Sunshore City's defense brigade only has around 5,000 men, that too without many horses. Turns out, the enemy attacking them is none other than the 100,000-strong Golden Lion Army. However, their tip-top condition doesn't seem like men who just lost a war in Whitehead Town. Witnessing this sight, Han Bai concludes that they fled without a fight. Right then, the Golden Lion Army's general, Kan Li Chun, questions the identity of the people who dared to rob Sunshore City. Yu Xiao snarks at him, presenting his army as men who retreated from the front lines and made their way to Sunshore City to assert their dominance, something that the Golden Lion Army did. Getting absolutely rolled by the boy's words, Kan Li Chun rages at him. Manifested by the army's primordial chi, a flaming lion roars out, defeating the student soldiers. Flexing his martial lord prowess, Ji Meng steps forward, greeting Kan Li Chun, as it has been a while since they last met. The latter doesn't recognize the former at first, and questions why he is robbing Sunshore City even though they are all under the first prince. Revealing that Qin Yang doesn't concern him anymore, Ji Meng declares his loyalty to his young master Yun. They're having a glaze-off right now. With this as the last straw, Kan Li Chun gets up and inquires about the reincarnated soul's identity again. This time, Yun Xiao introduces himself as head of logistics of the East Advancing Army. He remarks that they went to Sunshore City for supplies, where the city lord decided to generously gift them all his worth. With a grin on his face, the boy promises to report this good deed to the emperor so that Wu Lian Tian is heavily rewarded. Having heard just a few days ago that the Central Army is marching to rescue Shining Gold City, Kan Li Chun laments meeting them so soon. He does wonder why the East Advancing Army is so small though, getting told that the main army's course is top secret and they are only following orders to gather supplies. Right then, someone whispers something in the general's ear. This person is none other than Li Yi, making the comeback yet again. Hearing whatever 8527 had to say, Kang Li-chun calls Yun Shi-yao out for lying, vowing to warn him the death penalty for all his crimes. He orders his army to capture all the student soldiers, killing anyone who refuses in the process. Yes, a collective shout roars out as the pressure of over 100,000 men approaches Yun Shi-yao's troops. Receiving their marching orders, the Golden Lion army rushes to kill the student soldiers. Li Yi grins maniacally, getting excited at the thought of witnessing their deaths. Right then, Yun Shi-yao gives his troops teeming with killing intent the order to disperse and kill off the enemies one by one. Bai Changfeng and Li Yu lead the charge, taking battle stances with their 9 gates thunderbolt pearls and roaring spear of tigers and dragons respectively. With one fell swoop, the 2 martial masters eradicate the men charging towards them. Following the duo, the rest of the student soldiers leap into battle. The Golden Lion army begins to fall, as screams of grown-ass men getting beat up by kids ring out across the battlefield. Unable to believe his eyes, Kang Li-chun questions how there can be an army comprised of all martial warriors. However, as even such strong soldiers can take on 100 enemies each at most, the general thinks that there's no way for them to overcome his 400,000-strong army. Famous last words. Meanwhile, Yun Shi-yao praises his troops for a job well done, ordering them to use the killing intent technique to get into formation and charge toward the south. Riled up by their commander's words, the students erupt with killing intent. Soon, it condenses into the giant god-slaying finger. Overcome with immense panic, Kang Li-chun shouts at his army to block it at all costs. The Golden Lion army's beastly manifestation of primordial chi roars out, leaping towards the god-slaying finger. However, the condensed killing intent pierces through the flaming lion with ease. As the Golden Lion army's soldiers go flying, Li Yi starts trembling in fear, getting convinced that Yun Shi-yao is a demon who will become a huge threat in the future. He urges the need to kill the boy, thinking that getting rid of him is bound to break the students' formation. As waiting won't bear him any fruit anyway, Kang Li-chun leaps forward to keep Ji Meng occupied while Li Yi goes to kill Yun Shi-yao. Talking to his senior brothers, Guan Yuan Jia and Yu Yuan 1, 8527 declares that they must kill the Li family's bad luck charm today or else their master might suffer at his hands too. Vowing to finish off the demonic boy by themselves, the 2 martial lords leap into battle, already having his hands busy with Kang Li-chun. Jimon worriedly tells his young master Yun to be careful. Not being stupid enough to face 2 martial lords head-on, Yun Shi-yao orders his troops to focus on charging south without getting distracted, as Chen Da-sheng and his army will be joining them from that direction very soon. The boy deems that the time to fight back will be when he arrives. Seeing Yun Shi-yao trying to run, Yuan Jia spins around his trident, launching countless waves of ice towards him. For the crime of trying to kill him, Yun Shi-yao makes Yuan Jia kill his own men first. Using Nether Swap Moonwalk, the reincarnated soul walks through the air. He cunningly routes his path in such a way that the Golden Lion army bears the full burden of the attacks meant for him. Blood pulled out the Uno reverse card. This enrages Kang Li-chun, who shouts at the martial lords for killing his soldiers. Yuan Jia swears that it's the sleeve brat's fault for using the Golden Lion army's soldiers as human shields, only to turn around and literally kill a soldier for blocking his path. Seeing this, Kang Li-chun sternly orders the martial lords to stop killing his underlings, warning them that he will stop showing them mercy if they continue. Meanwhile, Chung Feng and Lin Yu manage to open a path in the south. As they tell everyone to run out, Li Yi orders Yuan Jia and Yuan 1 to switch their focus on Yun Shi-yao's companions, wanting to push him out of hiding. Following through with this command, the martial lords leap at Chung Feng without any shame. Chung Feng tries his best to fight back against Yuan Jia, but the power of a martial lord is too much for him to handle. The latter ends up shattering the former's weapon, piercing him with his trident. Chung Feng is sent flying to Lin Yu, forcing him to hold his bloody comrade in his arms. Already a better love story than Twilight. As Yuan Jia rushes to finish the job, Luo Lan Duo shouts at Lin Yu to retreat, all the while He Zheng keeps her from running in. Right then, Yun Shi-yao comes in for the save with his Lotus Sword Song, and orders Lin Yu to take Chung Feng to Jia Rong. However, Yuan Jia doesn't give the boy any time for chit-chat, unleashing a barrage of strikes at him. Yun Shi-yao manages to dodge his attacks by using Nether Swap, pushing the technique to its very limit. As the battle rages on, Chun Zun riles up the retreating student soldiers to turn back and save their young master Yun. Handing off Chung Feng to Jia Rong, Lian Yu leads the offense this time. The enraged troops' killing intent once again condenses into a god-slaying finger as they make their way to the trembling Golden Lion army. Meanwhile, Jimeng launches a wild onslaught on Kan Li Chun, without any concern for his own safety. Du got that dog in him. Moments later, Ji Yarong signals the student soldiers to strike, as the reinforcements are finally closing in. As Li Yi shouts at the frozen Yuan 1 to help Yuan Jia kill Yun Shiyao, the martial lord leaps at the boy to finish him off. However, he instead ends up meeting a brutal demise at the hands of the terrifying god-slaying finger. The god-slaying finger utterly decimates Yuan 1, leaving behind nothing but a shower of blood. Seeing that the attack used up the student's entire killing intent and Yuan Qi, Yun Shiyao orders them to retreat without caring about him. Fortunately, the 400,000-strong Golden Lion army is too frightened to take advantage of this opportunity. Witnessing his brother meet such a fate, Li Yi mindlessly charges at Yun Shiyao. Suddenly, a voice echoes throughout the battlefield, telling everyone to stop. Understanding that he just needs to stall until Xiao Qingwang arrives there, Yun Shiyao mocks Li Yi and pushes him back. Yuan Jia joins the fight, causing the reincarnated to go on the back foot and suffer a few cuts. While Qingwang, Yunshang, and Da Sheng continue to close in, Li Yi tells Yun Shiyao that no one can save him now. He kicks the boy up into the sky, and Yuan Jia joins him to unleash a combination attack on their midair foe. Much to Li Yi's dismay, Yun Shiyao forms a bubble of water around his body, dispersing his all-out onslaught. Getting closer, Da Sheng vows to kill everyone if they hurt Yun Shiyao in any way. Teacher Luo speeds up, only to be left awestruck by what she sees. Telling the attackers that it's too late, Yun Shiyao borrows the power of the heavens and earth. His chi begins to rise rapidly, prompting Li Yi to consume a pill that turns him into an ape, one whose power is equal to that of a martial king. Luo Yunshang reveals that it's the demonification pill, refined with the blood and soul of demon beasts. Taking steroids for martial arts is crazy. Though a person temporarily gains the power of a demon by consuming it, the grave side effects could cause their body to explode. The teacher worries about Yun Shiyao, wanting him to hold on till they get there. Consumed by his overflowing power, Li Yi mindlessly charges at the reincarnated soul to finish things once and for all. Agreeing with the sentiment, Yun Shiyao starts gathering fire, ice, wind, and shadow in his palms. The spectators wonder how he is utilizing the power of the four quadrants elements, as it is a feat only the four quadrants realm martial lords can perform. Moments later, the wind picks up around Yun Shiyao, a sight reminiscent of the Peak 9 Heavens martial sovereign, Gu Fei Yang. Witnessing this sight, Luo Yunshang is brought to tears, and thus the winds and clouds rise, marking the return of a great master. In the words of the rock, chills.